Hello growers, Professor Monstera. It's late and I was having a look at this plant and I realized that I need to do something because I can just tell that the roots in here are getting a little bit too constricted. So like I always say, first of all, if you're going to touch roots, you're going to put gloves on. Yep, you want to be nice and sterile because that's the easiest way for bad bacteria to get into your plant through the roots. Secondly, because I have, see here, aerial root, aerial root, aerial root, yep. What I want to do is I want to support the plant. So what I do is I open my hands, yep, we open our hand and we put it in between these things, yep. We then put the plant upside down. You've got to make sure that there's enough room underneath you. Some cocoa is going to fall, so have something under you to catch that cocoa. And now you need to balance. The pot might be stuck. So what you might need to do is just give it a little bit of a cuddle, a little bit of a mwah kiss while you're at it, and give it a good squeeze. And now let's have a look. Oh my, it's another Professor Monstera. What do they call it? Root porn? Look at it. I don't want it all to fall apart. Look. Oh, it's starting to fall. Doesn't matter. With cocoa, it doesn't matter. Look. Look at that. Look at how healthy that is. What I notice is that, see this aerial root? It's going into the cocoa and then it's going all the way over here. So I want to just reposition that and get it to go more into the middle. Look at this. Woohoo! I just love it. So how do we do this? Come with me. So carefully I have placed the plant in this, but you have to be very careful because the plant has aerial roots and these things will break so easily. I broke that one in my last video. So when you're putting it down, be very careful and think of everything. Don't just put it down. There's a reason why I'm able to do this. One is that Monstera roots are a lot thicker, especially in hydroponics, than they are to, say, a plant like a tomato or a chili. If I was doing this with a tomato or a chili, I'd break the roots, so I wouldn't be doing that. So this allows me to just have a quick check, but also it allows me a chance to put some Azos in there, and I talk about this stuff all the time. It's this stuff here, Azos. So what we're going to do now is we're going to dust the roots with some Azos, and this is how easy it is. First, we're going to take the pot and we're going to put some cocoa in it, and we're going to use the same cocoa that the plant was in because it's full of good bacteria, it's full of goodness, and there was no root rot. I could not find one black, I could not even find a decaying root. I could not even find a root that was unhappy. That's how good all of the products that I'm using are. I would like to take the credit. I would like to say, hey, I invented all those things, but no. What I did was I started using them, and I've used them so long now, and I've proven to myself that, hey, they work. So we take that pot and we put some cocoa in it. Just probably, let's go to halfway. So what do you think, growers? I think we need to go up a size. Putting it down gently. So, I think this pot will do. But what do we need to do to the pot? We need to sanitize. I like to use sanitize. It's really cheap. $6 for this bottle. And it kills all the bad stuff. And the best thing about it is that if you're lazy like me, you don't even have to rinse it. It's rinse free. So you just dump your pot into some of these, wash it, squish it around, wash it, and then you just let it drip, and that's it. Finished. Put the cocoa in it. Let's do it. Sanitized, nothing bad in there. Time to put our plant in. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the plant and we're going to very carefully take it so that we can put it in the old pot for now, because I know that the old pot is all good from a bacteria point of view. Okay, pot, sanitized, ready to go. So what we do is we use the same cocoa that was in the old pot because it's full of good bacteria. And we inspected the roots. There was no root rot, nothing bad, so there's no need to throw it out. So what we do is we put it into the new pot. What we then grab is the old pot, and all we want to do is use like a mold. And think a little bit like making sand castles when you were a kid at the beach. And you will see how this will end up in a second. And I think it will all make sense. I think it will all make sense. So all the way around until I fill it up all the way to the top with cocoa. Yep, and then give it a bit of a tap. Yep. So look. So I keep adding cocoa and just building like a mold, the wall on the outside there, and you'll see what for in a second. It'll make sense. So, why have I done this? I think it will all make sense to you now. Watch this. Very carefully, I lift this up. And look at this. Can you see it? Let me get the light. See what I've created there? So my plant is going to sit in that. So why have I done this? Because now, and you have to be so careful, because if you tap it just like sand at the beach, it's all going to fall in. I'm now going to dust Azos all in here. How's that, huh? And then we're going to put the plant in there. So what we need to be careful with is that if we sneeze, if we touch it, if we look at it the wrong way, all of that's going to fall in. Also, when we go to put our plant in there, we also then need to be very careful, because on the way down it can cave it all in, and we want it all to end up on the outside so that it makes good contact with the root. So, Azos. I think it's one of the main reasons why my plants are like they are. So, I will start with a teaspoon, because the great thing is that they give you this little cup thing, teaspoon, tablespoon, so you can't go wrong. So I'll start with a teaspoon, and I am just dusting. It's a bit harder to get it on the walls, but with experience you tend to get it there. So I will show you in a second what it looks like. I'll give you a different angle. For now, just trust me. Most of it is going where I want it to go. It's not easy, but nothing good ever is. Because this plant is going to sit here for a long time, I am giving it a really good Azos, because I then don't need to apply it into the water as often, because it's making contact with the roots, and that's how this product works at its best. So here we are. There she is again. Ah, she's so happy. So I'm just going to take this dust as much of this as I can with some Azos. And the reason that I use a sifter like a cake is because I don't want big blobs of the Azos, because then you just use so much more of it. So I like to use this. Can you see there? Yep. So then I very carefully take it, and very carefully, you have to be. And I am going to get a little bit more Azos. So that I can dust the rest. It goes a long way. You don't need to use a lot of it. Yep, this stuff is alive, growers. So when we put it here on our roots, and when we add water, those little bacteria are going to come to life and are going to do all the good stuff they're born to do. So now, let me quickly just show you before I put the plant in. Let me quickly just show you before I put the plant in what it looks like in there. And it looks like this. The plant is going to love it. And now, in she goes, very carefully, just making sure that we get all the way in, hopefully before the walls collapse, and we did. Take the weight off it, and then we want to get all the roots in there. Look at that. Perfect. It's almost like the SpaceX landing of the rockets. Look at that, she fit perfectly. And now it's just a simple tap, 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 so that it all now compacts in and touches the roots. Now it's time to position the plant. So what I am going to do is just see where I want her to sit. I want her a little bit higher, so then what I do is I take a little bit of the weight and I just put some cocoa in, and I will end up with her happier than she was before, because now her roots are not all restricted, and that aerial root is not going around in circles around the outside of the pot. It's now going to go all the way in. Look at that. How good is that? She is so happy, I can tell. So now let's just sit her there. Let's put the rest of the cocoa in. Up, and we now do this. It's a little bit of shaking, a little bit of moving, and there you go. Done. A little bit higher, I think. There, that's where I want her. Done. So there you go. Repotting with the professor. It's as simple as that. Easy. Easy. And now the Azos is doing its thing. And what I will do is give her a good watering, and I'll make sure that I put her under her grow light and let her be. Thanks for tuning in.